Before we begin, I would like to ask you a few questions. First, how many of you are hungry? Just one? I can see so many people out there who are very hungry. I can just make it out of their faces because I am hungry, very hungry. How many of you are sleepy? Everyone at the back. That was just like when I was in my college. I was just the backbencher, always sleeping. Sometimes I used to bunk the classes because I used to sleep back in my hostel. All right. How many of you have worked on React? That's a stupid question, but quite a few. Anybody who's worked on Next.js, Vue, any of those frameworks? Anybody who is not a front-end engineer? Okay. Anybody who's not an engineer? Like any biotech guys? Commerce? Psychologists? No? Electricians? All right. So before we begin, let me show you something really cool that I built over the last weekend. Wait, let's just give it a time. It's taking some time to load. Should we wait for some more time or should we just skip it, come back to it later? I think we should come back to it later, right? All right. So anyways, can anybody tell me why I've written this number here? This big number in red, 53%. Average Lighthouse score. No, not really. And this is not my 12th percentage. Anybody who has very similar 12th percentage? I can give you my lunch. Performance. LCP. Oh, guys, we are going too technical. It's not that. Think basics. User drops. Who said user drops? Agar page loop. Correct. So basically, I was about to give you a hint as well. Very dark humor, but okay, 3 seconds. But I think he was right. So this 53% is the percentage of mobile visitors who abandon a website if it takes more than 3 seconds to load. And I'm not saying this. This is actually published by a Google Consumer Insights report. And let that sink in for a second. Because now we know that if your website takes more than 3 seconds to load, you lose 50% of the traffic, more than half of your traffic. That's sad, right? So what happens is that if you think about modern React applications, which are full of heavy media applications, videos, images, all of that, right? High resolution. The thing is that it all looks great. It looks amazing visually. But then that takes a serious bottleneck on performance, right? So has anybody ever seen those low Lighthouse scores? Like, 6, probably 5. Anybody who ever got a 0 there? No? Man, I don't think you are engineers because I've got a 0. So, but all in all, these series of low scores, they haunt you. They haunt me forever, right? And that clubbed with this 53% metric, where the number of people who are actually dropping on your website, this is basically a nightmare for both developers and users, right? I mean, don't we all agree on that? We do, right? It is a nightmare. So how do we really fix it? So that's what we'll be talking about today. Hi everyone, I am Harshit. I forgot to introduce myself. I am Harshit and I am a senior software engineer at ImageKit. I have been here for about 2 years now. I have been crazy about optimizing media for web. Honestly, I just love React. And I love images and videos because obviously they make your website look beautiful, right? And I want them really fast. But we have always been taught that heavy media is equal to slow website, right? Have you all heard that? Have you all experienced that? So we've always been in this mindset that, we have to keep our, images and videos least. I mean, we have to keep that number very low, probably not even have media at all, make our websites look very ugly because there's no media, right? So that we can make them fast. But that's not really the solution, right? Because if you don't have media, how will you really attract customers? For example, there's an e-commerce website, or let's say there's a social media network, right? Let's say Instagram. If you don't have Reels, you're not going to be able to attract people. Like the entire Instagram works on that, right? So that is not a solution. Like removing media altogether from your website is not the solution. So what is the solution? We have to optimize it, right? Now let's circle back to Lighthouse. Oh, does anybody remember the initial loading page? That was intentional. That was actually intentional because I wanted to show you that we don't have the patience to wait 3 minutes for something to load, right? So the idea here is that Lighthouse it hates certain metrics, right? So one, it hates websites which have enormous bundle sizes. And by bundle sizes, you basically mean everything from CSS to JS to images to videos, everything that's bundled together and served over a network, that constitutes a bundle, right? So Lighthouse hates bundle sizes which are above 1.6 MB, which is roughly like 1600 KB. Now, typically, if you click a picture from your iPhone, how big of a size would that be? 5 MB? Dude, which iPhone do you have? Does anybody have Samsung? Like the flagship Samsung? 40 MB, 48 MB, 50 MB. Man, I have seen images which were about 100 MB in size. Like crazy resolution, like 48 megapixels, 50 megapixels, right? So effectively, you cannot really serve them on the web. That's the motive, right? Lighthouse also hates one more thing. So have you ever noticed that, once you load the website, suddenly everything just goes random, all the layouts are just messed up. Suddenly you saw this one image here and then suddenly it became down, like it just went below or it just, disappeared, right? So that is something what we call a cumulative layout shift, right? So Lighthouse hates that. Now, how it calculates the score, the 0.1 score, is basically it's the delta of all the shifts together, and then it calculates, like a score, an aggregated score. And if your score is greater than 0.1, it penalizes your website, right? Same with bundle size. If it's greater than 1.6 MB, it penalizes you, right? Now, there's another third metric, which is called the largest contentful paint, which is LCP, right? So can anybody tell me what LCP is? You have worked on Lighthouse? Right. So effectively, LCP is basically the time it takes for the largest content on your website to load, right? And now there are certain metrics for it, right? There again, so if it is for mobile, if it takes more than 2.5 seconds, Lighthouse penalizes you. For desktops, if it is greater than 1.2 seconds, it penalizes you, right? So now keep these three things in mind, right? So Lighthouse absolutely hate these, and in turn, when Lighthouse hate these, Google also hates these. So you're taking a huge hit on your SEO, right? So if you really want to optimize your website to be able to, show it on Google, for it to be discoverable on the rankings, you need to have a good Lighthouse score, right? Now there's another reason why you need to have a good Lighthouse score. So performance is not really a numerical score. Like we always think that, okay, 90% is good, 70% is not good, right? But what I feel is that it is not just a numerical score. It is more of it is an indicator of a user experience, right? So all of these factors that we discussed here, they are in turn kind of translating to a good user experience or a bad user experience, right? So if your website loads slow, it's a bad user experience. You will lose your visitors. There will be a high bounce rate, right? So effectively, performance is not numerical score, it is user experience. And with that note, we want to come to a point where we want to see how can we really optimize for these good scores, for these metrics that we discussed, right? So the first way to do it is you have to serve your images in the next gen formats. So initially we all used formats like PNG, right, JPEG, but they're not optimized. They have huge sizes, right? Whereas when you think about latest formats like WebP or AVIF, right? So I think up until some time back, Safari did not support AVIF, but now it does, right? So it's widely acceptable. And a very typical example would be that an AVIF image, an AVIF equivalent of a PNG would be at least half the size, or even more, or even less, right? So the first thing is you need to use modern formats, the next generation formats like WebP and AVIF. The second is you need to you need to efficiently encode and compress images. So for example, let's say you are on a mobile device which does not need a high resolution image, right? So all you can do is you can just maybe decrease the resolution a bit, or let's say decrease the quality. Let's say 100% quality might not be suitable, or it might not even be needed, right? For a mobile device which is this small, you can always go with, like, let's say 80% quality, right? And that would just decrease your size by a huge difference, right? So efficient encoding and compression. The third is you have to properly size images for different devices. Can anybody take a guess of how many different screen sizes exist in the market right now? More than 100. 100 is too less. Too less. Anybody else? Anything close? There are more than 10,000 screen sizes existing in the market. And that is crazy, right? Now, if you don't optimize for all of these, it's going to be a problem. The fourth point is you have to lazy load off-screen images. So if you see, there's like a typical Swiggy app, right? It loads very quickly. Why does it load quickly? It has like a listing page. It has like so many products. It has like hundreds of products. And if, let's say, one image is like 5 MB, 500 MB we are loading on a network, but it does not take time. Why? Because it lazy loads. So it does not load those images upfront unless you scroll to that viewport, right? So that is effectively what we call lazy loading. Then there's a fifth point, which is called prioritizing the LCP image. So this usually is a little tricky. If you're not experienced enough, this is a tricky because you have to figure out what the LCP image is. So you have to go to the network tab, you have to explore all these different images, their sizes, figure out that, okay, this is my largest image and this is taking a lot of time to load. You preload it, you prioritize it. You tell the browser, you tell your code that, okay, load this image first so that I have to increase, so that I can increase my performance, right? Now, when it comes to videos, again, there are like few techniques. This is a very basic checklist. You can use, videos over GIFs, because GIFs honestly are heavier than videos. For example, if there's a 2-second video which just shows some animation, videos can be preferred over GIFs, right? You can encode videos using modern codecs. So at some point of time, we used to use MP4, right? But then we have the newer codec, which is H264 MP4. That is much advanced when it comes to compression, right? Or we have AV1, right? So we can use these codecs. We can also lazy load videos. Again, you might have seen some websites where you open the website and the video starts playing, right? So you can actually defer that. You can stop the autoplay if you can. You can mute the video. All of these things really impact your score, right? And then you can consider impact of third-party models. So third-party embeds. So for example, if you're embedding YouTube or Vimeo on your website, you have to consider that they can also add to your latency, right? Now, we'll discuss a sample use case. So we have this app. In the interest of network, I actually made the app and I put some screenshots, right? So we'll consider this sample e-commerce app, which has like a product gallery, banners, reviews, similar products, all of it, right? And what I did was I did a local Lighthouse performance analysis for this on a mobile device. This was my result. So 64 was my overall performance. My largest contentful paint, which was LCP, was 19 seconds, roughly 19 seconds. My first contentful paint was 1.1 seconds, right? So now, how would I optimize this, right? So I could either use something like Next.js. So Next.js has an image tag, which can help you with a lot of these things. It can help you with responsive images. It can help you with, let's say, different screen sizes. It can help you lazy load images, all of these things, right? Now, how would you effectively do this for videos? Because Next.js does not have a video tag, right? It has a native video tag, but it cannot do these optimizations for you, right? So for this use case, I'm going to be using ImageKit. So ImageKit, what it does is it has like a wrapper over the Next.js SDK, which includes a video tag and an image tag, so that you can actually do these optimizations together in one package, right? So images and videos together. Now, apart from that, we have like 50+ transforms. We have support for AVIF, animated content. You can just convert your GIF to MP4 by just changing the URL. It works with external storages, so you don't have to really move things from your S3 to ImageKit to be able to use ImageKit, right? So we have an internal CDN, we use CloudFront for that, and it's more economical to host and deliver. So that is the reason I'm choosing ImageKit for this. You can also use other products. There are so many open source libraries out there that can actually help you do these optimizations. One of them is Sharp. Next.js uses Sharp, right? So to get started with ImageKit, all you have to do is just connect your storage. So here I've connected an S3 bucket, if you can see. It's a demo S3 bucket where I have the assets already. And I've just connected that to ImageKit. I'm going to serve it from there, right? Now, how do you really do this? So all you have to do is just use the ImageKit Next SDK, and we have the image and video tag inside it. These are just wrappers over the usual tag. All you have to do is just implement them. They have the same props as the normal tags, but with additional benefits of optimizations, right? So what we've done here is we've used the image tag, we've used the video tag, right? And we have the same source props. Now, how would you really, use correct responsive images? Again, Next.js does this internally. So you can use something called, the SRC set prop with basically what it does is it uses width descriptors instead of DPR, right? So DPR is something basically called density pixel ratio, which differs for each device. For Retina displays, it is higher. For older displays, it's lower, right? So all of those things. But Next.js internally handles it. So does our SDK, right? This is how you can actually do a priority for LCP image. So once you've identified what is your largest image, that takes a lot of time. You can just use a prop called priority true, and that will just make sure that that image is loaded at the first, right, before all the other images. For GIF, so again, like I said, right, you should prefer MP4 videos over GIFs for animated content, and this is how you can do it. Very simple with ImageKit. So it's your initial URL. You just append a suffix called ikgif video.mp4, and what we internally do is we convert your GIF to MP4 and then serve it, and then play it on your website, right? So that's how easy it is, just a URL change. And by the way, ImageKit, all the transforms, all the parameters, they are all URL based. That's the power, right? That's why I'm using it. So with this, right, you can actually expect like a reduction from something like 600 KB to something like 21 KB. That's the size reduction that we are looking at, right? So after we do all of these optimizations, this is our Lighthouse core. So again, I can actually show you this live if the internet permits, but we have a crazy increase from 64 to 94 just by doing these optimizations, right? And suddenly we are, from orange to green, and we have a crazy good SEO now, right? So we have reduced the LCP from 19 to 2 seconds. Like imagine, so initially your website was taking that one image, hero image, was taking 19 seconds to load. Now it is taking 2 seconds to load, right? Just because you've put a CDN, you've done these optimizations, it's responsive, it takes care of your device, right? Like which device it's being called from. We have a CLS of 0.078. Here we have 1 point, I think this was something that I did. But we have reduced the first contentful paint as well from 1.1 seconds to 0.8 seconds. So effectively, these techniques can actually work out of the box for you if you implement them properly, right? Now, I did have some demo, which is basically around the future of media optimization. So now we've talked about some basic optimizations, right? But with AI into the picture, images are going crazy. People are going crazy with images, right? Now we can just generate image, we can remove backgrounds, we can change backgrounds, we can do a bunch of these things with AI, right? So basically, these are the few things that we can possibly do with AI right now. We can remove a background, we can change backgrounds, we can expand images. Like imagine if you have a portrait image, but you wanted to show it on a landscape, right? You can expand that image in real time using AI instead of just blurring the sides or maybe putting a background, a solid background, right? You can create images. So I'm sure everybody has used Ghibli art, right? Who has not used Ghibli art? Oh man, you guys exist. I went crazy with Ghibli art, man. I was randomly creating Ghibli art for everything. Like, so once I click this picture of a like a bridge, I created Ghibli art for that, and I posted it on my Instagram. So, and you can do a bunch of more things. You can add shadows. You can add, create different variations. You can do smart crops. So many things, right? So I can show you a demo of how we can do this in code in your applications just by URL changes. Is anybody excited for this demo? Because this is going to be interactive. We have 4 minutes. We're going to be quick, but I can show you how we can do this. Okay, so can everybody see this? I don't know if this is visible. Let's see. Is it visible now? So this is a sample app that I've created, which runs on localhost, right? So now let's say I wanted to change the background. So this is an image, right? Let's try to open this image once. Let me just close this. I'm just opening this image on a new tab. Okay. Now let's say I change. Can everybody see this? The URL? Okay. Now let's say I wanted to change the background of this. So this is a PNG image. It does not have a background at the moment. Let's say I wanted to add a background which is black. Oh, what happened? Oh wait, this is a wrong image. I need to open this image. Yeah. So this is the image. Let's say I wanted to add a background black. What happened? Production bug. Oh my god. This is the only thing that I fear. Oh, it happened. Can you see how quickly that happened? Do you want any other color for the background? Orange. So, so this is not an app. This is an image that is being edited in real time in front of you in a matter of milliseconds and being served on the same URL. All you have to do is just change the query parameter, right? Now we can do a bunch of other things as well. So let's say I were to add, so this right now this bags looks very, very normal, right? Very, very vanilla. Let's try to add a shadow to this bag. Oh, what happened? Bad. Production bug again? Oh my god. So many production bugs. Oh, maybe I think I know the problem. I know the problem. So the problem is that this image is too large to be processed for a shadow. Again, we have a solution for it. So what we can do is we can just reduce the image size. Let's say we reduce the image size to 400. So from a 2000 cross 2000 image, we have just created a 400 cross 400 image just by adding a parameter called W400, right? Now we can chain this to another transformation which is called eShadow, and this will work. Did you see this? You see the shadow, right? Now tell me how much time would it take for you to add this shadow in Photoshop? Anybody who is a graphic designer here? How much time would it take for you to do this? 1 minute, and then exporting it, and then uploading it to S3, and then serving on your website. 30 minutes. With this, it's just a URL change in a code, and you're live. Right? Now I can show you some AI things as well. Anybody who is very hungry, who doesn't want me to show the AI thing because it's the most interesting thing? Do you want to go for lunch, or do you want to see like 5 more minutes? Want to see? Guys, can I take 5 minutes? Can I take 5 minutes? Cool. Okay, chalo. Let's do some AI thing, right? So, who wants to see this bag not in a very bekar sa background? Yeah, we can change the background. Add some. We can do that. I can do it on the outside, but we can do some more things, right? So let's see if this works. Oh wait, I think I had to reduce the size with 400 and then put this prompt. So that image itself is very high resolution. And I know it will take a lot of time for that to build it, because this is AI. Let's try something else as well. So let's reduce the size even more, and then we do a change PG. Place it on a wooden table. What happened? Oh, did you see this worked? So this is the bag, the same bag which was kept on some random wallpaper is now on a marble table, just by the URL change. Now, do you want to see something more? Some other prompts? Anybody wants to keep it anywhere? Space, waste, कहीं पे भी करना है तो बताओ. Where? I know, man. Time's up. I've asked them. Sorry. Yeah, we can do that. It will take a bit of time because I'll have to create the prompt. But I have some standardized prompts as well, which I can show you how quickly they can work. So let's try. So we just saw how we can change the background, right? So let's say these are the shoes, right? So this is the input image that we see. That is the output image. And all I have to do is just write a prompt. So effectively, it's just a wrapper around the URL thing that I built, right? So let's say I were to keep this on a road. I just apply. Now, if you see, it is basically the same image. We've just added a URL parameter, like a query parameter to do this, right? So if I remove this query parameter, it's still the same shoe on a very boring background. So we are not editing your image. The image remains the same. We're just creating a variation out of it and serving it for you, right? So anybody, let's say I have to keep it somewhere else. Let's say I have to keep it on a field of grass. Same image on the grass, right? This is on a minimal concrete studio with soft lighting, right? So I have some more examples. Let's say we use cars, right? So let's say this was a car. Mercedes has not even built this car yet. Let's say we wanted to market this car, right? Now, this image without a background is just so bland, right? But let's say we want to do a real marketing. We don't have a car. How will we do it? With AI, we can, right? Because all we have to do is just add a prompt to keep this car on the road. And now that's the same car on the road, right? Now, let's say the same car we wanted in a city background. I'm sorry? Yes, it will. Yes, I can do that. It will take, okay. So where do you want to put it? Tell me a prompt. I'll just add it. Sorry? Could just one of you tell? Oh, click apply again. Oh no, so again, it will not change it because it's already cached, right? That's how I've built the app, right? So it's already cached. So if you see this, right? So if it's the same prompt, right? Why do we recalculate it? Why do we need to reprocess it, right? So we just store it over the cache and we just serve it from there. But if you actually change the prompt, we reprocess it. So let's say instead of a road, let's say we want to put it in a desert. I can just change the prompt, and then this will do the first time processing. It will create the image and then cache it. So the next refreshes, you don't really need to create the image again, right? So let's just wait for a second before this develops. I can show you other things meanwhile. Let's say the product color. No, we can't change the product color. So I think that is something which we are still working on. But at the moment, we can change the background, we can do a bunch of other things, but not the product itself, right? So I have one very simple example. So let's say this was an image, which is a landscape image. You want to show it on Instagram, put it on a story. You want to convert it to portrait. How will you do it? You'll just put like a random solid background over and below that, right? Or you will just put a blur, right? But with AI, you can actually ask AI to imagine what's going to be above and below that, and then make sure that the image looks well in a portrait mode. I can show you I can just do that in a prompt thing. Let me see where the prompt is. I was not prepared for this particular demo. But since you guys were pretty bored, so I thought let's just do it. Okay, so this is a sample genfill. Okay, so all I'm going to do is, again, the same thing, input image will be applied. So that transformation will be applied in the URL on this image, and that will be the output, right? Let me just click apply. Did you see? It's crazy, right? It's crazy what you can do with AI now. And just by URL changes. So you don't need a GUI, you don't need to put a prompt in ChatGPT and then, just save that image from there, put it on your website, serve it from there. You can just change it in your code and you're done, right? How many of you think that we don't need Photoshop anymore? We don't need Adobe? I think I met like 2 people from Adobe here. It was very embarrassing to tell them that, we don't need Adobe anymore. But yeah, I think that brings me to all I had for this talk. Thank you so much for listening to me. I can leave you for the lunch now. And if you guys have any questions, we have a booth. So it's booth number 27. We are from ImageKit, and you can ask your questions there.